Hello learners, this is Excel with Habeeba. I am back with my another class, that is Philosophical Foundation of Education, with the next topic, that is Western Schools of Philosophy. Let's recapitulate what we have learned in the previous class. That is, we have learnt about what is philosophy and education, what is the relation between philosophy and education. Philosophy, that is love for wisdom, that is people seek knowledge because of this love for wisdom. Education, drawing out something which is inherent, and together applying these questioning in education, that is called philosophical foundation of education, that is educational philosophy. Education plus philosophy, that means drawing out the innate abilities through questioning or love for wisdom, love for knowing something, that is educational philosophy. Today we are going to understand the Western schools of philosophy. Before that, let me introduce the topic Western schools of philosophy. Under that we have ancient Western philosophy, medieval Western philosophy, and modern Western philosophy. Now, what is this ancient Western philosophy? This ancient Western philosophy is also known as Greco-Roman philosophy or Greek philosophy because it started in Greece, or rather with the Proto-Greek people. That means earlier people have started this protocol, that is love for wisdom, knowing something. Ancient Western philosophy is also known as Greek miracle. This maritime colonial power began to flower as a center of thought and creativity, that it became a mark of all future thinking. So when we talk about this ancient Western philosophy, what do we understand about it? That is, when we talk about this Western philosophy, the study of ancient Western philosophy is very relevant even today. Why? We look back what our educationists or thinkers have given to us. The people of Greece were generally extroverts who were sociable and other-centered. That is, here they gave more importance to search for wisdom, that is connected with wonder. That is, philosophers like Plato and Socrates emphasized the search for wisdom, and others like Aristotle emphasized on the very aspect of wisdom. Ancient people were amazed at the different realities of nature. This wonder forced them to search for wisdom. So, the principal philosophical issues were the nature of visible reality, that is changing or unchanging, being or becoming of reality or order and harmony of the physical world. So the study of ancient Western philosophy, an educated man is a person who knows history. Unless one knows what had been taken place, one finds difficult to proceed further. So this study also helps us to learn from the mistakes of the past. By studying the history of philosophy, we come to know the ideas in either positive or negative influence. It also helps us to know that no philosophy is fully right or wrong. In reading history or philosophy, doubts may arise in our minds. It creates in us an inquiring mind. That is, every philosophical system is a development of previous one, obviously. Example, to understand philosophy of Aristotle, we need to study his predecessors, that is Plato. It is relevant because it is embedded with the spirit of searching for truth. So, ancient Western philosophy we should understand before moving forward to the medieval Western philosophy. Now, what is this medieval philosophy? Medieval philosophy is the philosophy of Europe and the Middle East in the era now known as the medieval or the Middle Ages. the period roughly extending from the decline of classical culture and the fall of the Roman Empire to the Renaissance. Now, what is this Renaissance? Renaissance period was the period where rebirth, that is quest for new inventions and discoveries, took place in the 16th and 17th centuries. So, medieval philosophy is the philosophy of Europe. Philosophers during this time include Boethius, Anselm, Peter Eberol, Thomas Aquinas, Duns, Scotus, Williams of Ockham, and many others. Now, during the 12th and 13th centuries, European philosophy was much influenced by the writings of Muslim philosophers, including Avicenna, that is Ibn Sina, and Ibn Rushd. Now, philosophy in the medieval style continued into the late 17th century. Descartes and Leibniz cannot be well understood without some knowledge of medieval thought. So, medieval philosophy was decisively influenced by ideas from the Greece, the East, and the patristic period from the Jewish philosophical tradition and from Islam. So, before understanding this Jewish philosophical tradition and from Islam, the main problematic of medieval Western philosophy is the relationship between faith and reason. It is during this period that Christians came in contact with Greek philosophy. So, medieval philosophy in general could be called a Christian philosophy. Christian philosophy is a term to describe the fusion of various fields of philosophy historically derived from the philosophical traditions of Western thinkers such as Plato and Aristotle with the theological doctrines of Christianity. So, the problems discussed throughout this period were the relation of faith to reason. Now, moving forward, modern Western philosophy, the focus of modern Western philosophy was reason. This period was marked by separation of philosophy from theology, that is related to God or the religion, and separation of philosophy from science. So, under this modern philosophy, the focus of modern Western philosophy was reason. As just now I told you, this period was marked by separation of philosophy from theology. There are three main schools of philosophies that are rationalism, empiricism, transcendentalism. That is, rationalism is mainly concentrated on the reason of human being. That is, this school of philosophy mainly concentrated on the human beings. That is, important philosopher in rationalism, Descartes, used methodic doubt to arrive at the reality. For him, the truth is what can be clearly and distinctly thought of. He considered man as a thinking thing. He says, I think, therefore I am. This is called famous cogito ergo sum, that is primacy of consciousness. That is, they believed in innate ideas, and later Kant remarks that they were too dogmatic about metaphysics. Metaphysics is beyond the mind or thinking, beyond thinking. They had also attempted to prove God's existence under this rationalism. The second one is empiricism, third school of philosophy, that is empiricism, the view that all knowledge is derived from experience. That is, they deny the innate ideas. Empiricism was mostly held by British philosophers who lived from 16th century to 18th century, running parallel with the continental philosophers. Now, main theories like skepticism, enlightenment, deism, pragmatism, and utilitarian ethics, etc., came about because of this empiricism. Locke, who held that sense knowledge alone is real and denied innate ideas, and Hume. Now, who subordinated this reason to instinct and sense experience were the leading figures of this school: Kant remarks that they were too skeptic about the knowledge. They did not attempt to know the metaphysical realities. As a result, they ended in skepticism. Now, the third one is transcendentalism. Immanuel Kant, the German philosopher, is the founder of transcendentalism, who tried to bring about a synthesis of rationalism and empiricism. Both. He has taken synthesis, that means combination of both rational and empiricism. So what happened here? Kant speaks of impossibility of possibility of metaphysics, that is something beyond thinking is there, they say. In his book Critique of Pure Reason, he says that metaphysics is impossible because we cannot reach nowhere about the knowledge of God, nature, soul, freedom, etc. with scientific knowledge, they say. Thus, metaphysics is impossible. However, in his second book, Critique of Practical Reason, he concludes that metaphysics is possible because it is a natural disposition which ultimately leads us in search of destiny. So the next one is post-Kantian philosophy, that is continental modern philosophy, is a significant stand. Now, of this Western philosophy, they introduced dialectical method, that is, it is a method of reaching the reality in 3 steps, that is thesis, antithesis and synthesis. Thesis, that is related to private interest, antithesis, that is related to public interest, synthesis, that is combination of both these, that is related to state. Now, voluntaristic idealism of Schopenhauer, that is human being is the will to live. So this is about the post-Kantian philosophy. Next comes the contemporary Western philosophy. If modern Western philosophy reached the astronomical heights of reason, the locus of this contemporary Western philosophy was about discovering the meaning of human existence. Now, it analyzed the existence of human being in a concrete and practical way, not abstract, which we cannot see. Here it is given importance to concrete and practical way, seeing existence as something grounded and caught up in concrete situations. Now, let's understand in deep about few Western schools of philosophy, that is idealism, realism, naturalism, pragmatism, existentialism and Marxism quickly. First, idealism. Idealism is associated with ideas, that is whatever ideas comes to human beings. This derived from Greek word ideon, meaning to see. That is, reality of everything lies in ideas, thought and mind, not in material thing, they say. That is, ideas are abstract. We cannot see the ideas, but we can assume or think about them or feel them, what ideas we are getting. So, idealism originates with Plato, the 3rd century BC thinker, who believed that there is an objective, that is, truth expressed through the unchanging world of forms. Now, let's see idealism in detail about the concepts of knowledge, reality and values, educational implication, aims, contents and methods of education quickly. So, what is the concept of knowledge here related to idealism? Under idealism, knowledge, we have to understand 3 terms first of all before understanding about idealism: metaphysics, knowledge and axiology, which we have already understood in the previous class. Please go to that and understand deeply. Now I will give you one liners here to remember those things. Metaphysics is beyond thinking. Whatever exists here beyond thinking, that is God. We cannot see the God. Beyond thinking, that is metaphysics. And now then comes the knowledge, epistemology. Epistemology means knowledge. How we gain knowledge through these schools or Western schools of thoughts or philosophies, we will understand related to knowledge. Axiology is related to ethics and values. So these are the three terms we have to register in our mind when we study about philosophy. These are the three branches of philosophy, that is metaphysics, and then epistemology, and the third one is axiology. Metaphysics, beyond thinking; epistemology, related to knowledge; axiology, related to ethics or values. Now let's understand all these under these Western schools of philosophy. First one is idealism. What is the concept of knowledge here under idealism? Knowledge results from the mind grasping reality. That is, whatever reality through mind, we get the knowledge through mind grasping the experiences, our past experiences. Now what is reality and values here under idealism? The idea is more real. Whatever idea we are getting, the idea is more real than the material thing. They have given importance to the ideas rather than material things. Now, since the mind and the ideas that it knows are immaterial, the process of knowing is entirely abstract. Abstract means which we cannot see, but we can feel. So, right reason is thus a primary concern for the idealist. Reasoning, assuming things, empiricism. Then what are the educational implications of idealism here? An emphasis on the theory before practice. That is, emphasis is given on the theory before practicing anything. We read the theory and then it will be applied practically. Then an emphasis on logical thinking. If we have logical thinking, we will be able to solve the problems. Then a high value attached to the liberal education. That is, freedom is given to get the education here. These are the three educational implications. Now, what is the aim of this idealism? That is the principle that education should concentrate solely on conceptual and moral development. Is an educational legacy of idealism. Then what are the contents taught in this idealism? That is mathematics, philosophy with principles expounded before application. Now what are the methods of education here? Socrates used question answer method, Plato emphasized discourse method, Aristotle advocated inductive deductive method, then Herbert advocated instruction method. So these are the methods of education under idealism. Next comes the realism. Now realism appears to be a reaction against curricula consisting of studies that have become bookish. We know all of us give importance to the bookish knowledge, but here in realism they have moved forward from bookish knowledge. Whatever sophisticated and abstruse knowledge they have come from that. The rise of scientific inquiry, that is, they have evidence here, experiments are done, new vistas before human mind. Man started to believe more in himself. He thought that he would conquer the entire world with his supreme gift of rationality. Now the interest in language and literature began to wane, and people became more and more interested in man and his environment. Earlier, language was given importance, lots of importance, but realism has given importance to man and his environment. How man learns with the experience interacting with the environment. Now, what are the forms of realism? There are three forms here, that is humanistic, social, and sense realism. Let's quickly understand this. What is humanistic realism? That is, realism represented the survival of the idea of renaissance, that is rebirth, but it did not that in a different way. While the classical humanists placed emphasis on form and style, the humanistic realistic opposed it in favor of content and ideas. These are two given very much importance here under humanistic realism, that is related to human beings here. Then social related to social, that is society, related to society, social realism, that is living well rather than learning. They have given importance here. Is the main concern of social realism. Knowledge which is acquired through senses is of greater value than that which comes through books. He believed that a sound body is the basis of a sound mind here in the social realism. Next comes the sense realism. The sense realism, that is, realists emphasize the training of senses, that is seeing, hearing, talking, whatever touch we feel, that is materialistic training of senses through hand and all. They held that senses are the conveyors of knowledge and learning takes place through the operation of senses, they say, under this sense realism. These are the forms of realism. Let's quickly understand the concepts here. Realism, what is the concept of knowledge for realism? That is, senses are the gateways of learning. Now, what are the reality and values? They deal with the mind and self. Under realism, they deal with the what we have understood ideas, that is in idealism, ideas, and here mind and self are given important things rather than words, they say. Then through what are the educational implications? Through co-curricular activities, then connected with the need of people, then accepts only the reality of external world. Now, what is the aim here? A new type of education in which truth rather than beauty, realities of life of the day rather than the beauties of the old days were aims of education, as there was a great premium on the man and human endeavor combined with science and common sense here. Then what are the contents taught under this realism? That is nature study, physical sciences and vocational training. What are the methods applied? Traveling, observation and experimentation, inductive and deductive method. Then naturalism. This separates nature from God. Under naturalism, both are separated, subordinates spirit to matter and sets up unchangeable laws as supreme. That's why it is also termed as materialism. They give matter importance here. Experiments are done, proof, whether if it is proved, then only they will accept. The basis of the word is matter. Mind is also form of matter or an element of matter or synthesis of both, combination of both here. Mind also they have taken as matter only under naturalism. Now, what are the forms of naturalism? Physical naturalism, mechanical naturalism, biological mechanism. Under physical naturalism, as we understand, we can touch and feel physical things. They are non-living, human activities and experiences in terms of material objects. That is, natural laws lays more stress on the external material phenomena than the conscious human being here. They have given importance to the physical, that is matter. Now, mechanical, under this mechanical, a lifeless huge machine which gets its form through matter and motion. In the movements of this machine, no mind or mental activity is required, nor any spiritual power is needed. Like if we switch on the fan, it will work on its own. This is what the mechanical naturalism, that is, they use the machines here, lifeless things under this mechanical naturalism. Then comes the biological. Biological, it means living things. That is based upon the Darwin's theory of evolution. Man has evolved from the lower animals by a gradual process of development. Man is supreme product of this process of evaluation. Heredity, that is, we have come from the apes, they called hereditary is there. Heredity and environment plays a very important role under this theory. They interplay between heredity and environment, they call it as. So powerful influence on the nature and temperaments of an individual human being. Now let's understand quickly about the concept of knowledge under naturalism. They highlight the value of scientific knowledge through specific observation, accumulation and generalization. They also place emphasis on the empirical and experimental knowledge. They stress on sensory training as senses are the gateways to learning. Then what are the realities and values here? Only nature is everything. Nothing is before and beyond it. God is within nature. Man is the child of nature. Then what are the educational implications? Learning by doing, learning by experience, learning by play as the basis of teaching. I'm not explaining because already you people know about all these educational implications. Otherwise this video will be very much longer. I'll quickly complete these schools of these 6 schools of Western thoughts. Naturalism aims self-expression, perfection of human machine, preparation for struggle of life, development of individuality. And what are the contents taught here under this? They are science subjects, physics, chemistry, zoology and botany. They also give due importance to mathematics and languages. And what are the methods here? Observation, experimental, playway, heuristic, Dalton method, Montessori. All these methods are self-learning methods and as such they are very effective and purposeful. Next comes the pragmatism. It stands between idealism and materialism, sort of compromise. The term pragmatism derives its origin from a Greek word meaning to do, to make, to accomplish. So the use of words like action or practice or activity, we have to remember these words, very very important. Action gets priority over thought. Experience is at the center of the universe. Everyone is tested on the touchstone of experience. Beliefs and ideas are true if they are workable and profitable, otherwise false. So what are the forms here? Humanistic, experimental, biological. Already we know humanistic means related to human beings. They cater to the welfare of mankind. Experimental, that is the principle is true which can be verified. When it is tested, experiment is done with proof, then only they will take it as experimental practice. Biological, obviously related to living beings, that is survival of the fittest. This is the main principle of biological pragmatism. Now what is the concept of knowledge? Great importance is laid upon practicability and utility. Whatever is practicable and utilized, that is given importance here as knowledge. Reality and values. Values are instrumental only. There are no final or fixed values. They are evolved and are not true for all times and for all situations. They are superficial, beyond thinking. And what educational implication? Education is not the preparation of a child for his future, but it is life itself. Now what is the aim here? To provide dynamic direction and guidance. And what are the contents here? You can pause and you can see here. So many are given: child's activities, lessons, vocational communication and other subjects like social sciences, humanities, etc. here. Now what are the methods? Again, learning by doing, collective approach, integrated approach, individual approach, purposive process of learning, self-learning through self-effort. Now existentialism. It is the most individualistic of all modern philosophies. The existentialist approach to knowledge is known as the phenomenological method. Phenomenology means occurrence of any incident. The phenomenological method consists in the expression of the experiences of consciousness through the media or ordinary language. Now let's see the concept here. Knowledge, choosing actions, living and dying. Reality and values emphasizes individual existence, freedom and choice. Then educational implication, make a man subjective and should make him conscious for his individuality or self. Now, what are the contents? Please pause and check it out. And what is the aim? To enable every individual to develop his unique qualities, because every individual has their own capabilities and unique qualities. To bring out or to develop them, that is the aim here. To harness his potentialities and cultivate his individualities. Then what are the focus on the individual learning? Is self-paced, self-directed here. Now lastly, Marxism. Karl Marx made it clear that life is not determined by consciousness but consciousness by life, vice versa, that is. And what he meant by life was actual living everyday material activity. Man is a purely material being with a natural origin and destiny. We have a destiny here. We get origined and we have a definite destiny to go. So man is not composed of body and mind or body and soul. Mind is simply a complex function of the material body. Man possesses no personal or individual freedom, but find this freedom in following the collective will of the people. Now let's see quickly concept of knowledge here. Not overly concerned with the theory of knowledge here under Marxism, either realistic or idealistic, but rather as a mixture of both realistic and idealistic. Now reality and values, the nature of origin of truth, the modes of knowing are not major problems here. The common good is ranked high among moral values. Now what are the educational implications? The belief that man is a product of society is evident in all the formal and informal educational activities, emphasizing group alliances, cooperativeness and conformity. What are the aims? Education, a tool of the state in initiating youth to the requisites of a classless society. We have to remember this point under Marxism. He focused on classless society, because earlier they had different classes: poor, middle class, rich, clergies, or the business or the slaves types. So he doesn't want that kind. He wanted a classless society. Now what are the contents here? Mathematics is a tool here. Science and technology, astronomy and psychology, language and literature, humanities and social sciences. What are the methods here? Lecture, recitation, test pattern predominating under this Marxism. So we come to the end of this Western school of thoughts. I'll come up with the next part of this foundation of philosophical education. Until then, please do like, share, subscribe and comment below. Thanks for your attention and time. Happy learning.